I was arrested on allegations of obstruction of vehicles and pedestrians along Mpane Road in Sakosi on the 6th of July 2016.
What were the charges?
Obstruction of vehicles and pedestrians. That was the charges that were leveled against me. When I went to prison, I was deeply hurt by the conditions that prisoners are being made to live under. The food is bad, the health conditions are terrible, hygiene, you can't even speak about it because there are no detergents, etc., etc. And the attitude of prison guards to prisoners is very derogatory and demeaning, such that I had to go to see the officer in charge and ask her if this was an example of correctional service, because there was nothing correctional about the service that is there in the prisons in Zimbabwe. You realize that prisoners were at the female prison are made to go to the gardens and fetch water in a sewer pot without shoes, without gloves or anything, which is very unhealthy. But because there was no voice that could say no to such things, they were being subjected to such conditions, until I had to make noise about remand prisoners, where I said it was clearly legal to take remand prisoners to the gardens, and it was also unhealthy and illegal to take prisoners into a sewer pot. But it seems like that has been the system that has been happening for years, and to them it is quite normal that they had to go to an extent of telling me that prisoners had no rights. You would also realize that if any prisoner gets sick, you go to the clinic there, the prison, you're actually insulted for being sick. No matter what the condition is, those are some of the things that led us to demonstrate in prison. It was the food issue, the health issue, and the social issue. There is a social office at the prison. You give them your number so that they call for your relatives to come in or to bring in the things that you need. They'll tell you, or if it's a person who made that someone, like the young girls, most of the teenage girls at Zimbabwe female prison, they killed their children, their infants and all. They'll go like, Mondi, where we are, you know, and all that. So then before the demonstration, which got me transferred to Chikurumbi Maximum Prison, we're actually demonstrating for our food as well, because on that particular day I had gone to court, and when I got back I found out that they had thrown my food away, because I was actually having my own food, my rice coming in, and one of the girls was cooking for me, and they were saying, what's so special about Linda that she eats rice here, and etc., etc. That's one of the things that made us make noise. And after that, when the bosses from ZPS came, we raised this issue with the dietitians and all, that there are some prisoners who've got health conditions, the diabetics, the ones that we've got ulcers and all. They need their special diet. And they actually say, no, it's very true, but we don't have money to do that. And then I said, why don't you go look for it? At the end of the day, why should you arrest people who've got conditions when you cannot feed them? That is when they went to their bosses and all, who later on acquired 2 tons of rice. So at least I know I managed to make sure that other people suffering from my condition have got food, but I don't know for how long. That is if the prison guards did not steal, because almost everything that comes to the prison guards take them and take them home because they are underpaid. Treatment of girl children is really bad in prisons, in Zimbabwe, in our houses, in our social spaces, etc., etc. You realize that stereotyping is still very active in our societies, regardless of the 50-50 representation and everything else. Girl children are still not going to school. Most of them, especially in the harsh economic climate that is prevailing in Zimbabwe. Most girl children are not going to school. You look at areas like Epworth, Dzarasekwa and all, most of the young girls there have turned into prostitution because their parents cannot afford school fees for them. And most of them are being abused by men, which was evident when I was at Chikurumbi female prison. Most of the prisoners there are 25 years and below, and most of them were arrested with prostitution-related crimes. Whereas maybe they got a client and the client said they stole their money from them, and etc., etc. There were about 6 juveniles at Chikurumbi female prison, all of them with cases that are related to prostitution. And I had an opportunity to talk to them at length and ask them why they had gotten to that stage, why they were not going to school at all. you realize that most CSOs are busy focusing on discussing these issues instead of offering help to these young girls. And especially today when it's Women's Day, I'm urging all women out there to come out and discuss ways on helping girl children, because most of the girl children in Zimbabwe right now have turned into prostitution, and it's a reality. Yet most women organizations are spending most of their time in hotels doing seminars and all that, yet the girl child who really needs help is suffering out there. So my message out there to women pressure groups and organizations is, let's come together and help the girl children in our country to become better mothers, because they are the future of tomorrow. We cannot have a future of prostitutes, because that is exactly what is going on the ground right now. Honestly, the government of Zimbabwe has gone clueless. They've tried different methods and strategies to fight an activist. But the crop of activists that we have right now are no longer afraid of anything. We're no longer afraid of Zanu-PF. That's why you realize that even when they had arrested me, the demonstrations continued. You can arrest a person, but you cannot arrest an idea. All the activists in Zimbabwe, including myself, we're still at the same position. We want Mugabe and his cronies, those government ministers, etc., out of office. They should pave way for new leadership, youthful leadership that can help us restructure this country and move it towards a sustainable Zimbabwe. Okay. The government is clueless. It has lost touch with reality, and their crackdown on activists is clearly unconstitutional, and we will not allow them to continue cracking down on activists at the guise of POSA, IPA, and etc., etc. That is why we're trying to push for the alignment of laws with the Constitution of Zimbabwe, because we cannot have a government that selectively applies a clause that they deem is correct at that particular time of the Constitution. The Constitution is supreme law of this land, and it should be adhered to. We also have our rights as activists to protest, and they cannot stop us, they cannot ban us. That is very unconstitutional. I don't believe that activists are always defeated. I actually believe that we are actually threatening this regime, because if what we are doing had no impact, they wouldn't be cracking down on us. Which actually means that whatever we're doing has got something positive at the end of it. There's no war that was won in a day. There's no struggle that was won in a day. Even when you plant a seed, you have to water it, and it takes months for it to be ripe and to be harvested. So it is actually a process. It will not happen overnight. So I am motivated, very motivated, and I remain undeterred. Whatever they do to activists, I know that one day we shall reap our reward, and it is going to be soon. It's not far away, it's going to be soon. They are feeling the pressure, they are feeling the heat. That's why they are now gone down to the level of abducting activists, injecting them with whatever, we don't know. If they were not feeling the heat, they wouldn't have gone that far. They would have been given 680 youths guns to crack down on activists if what we're doing had no impact. They are feeling the heat. Zimbabwe does not belong to Zanu-PF. Zimbabwe belongs to all of us, and we will fight until we regain total freedom. Why are we protesting? We are hungry, we are jobless, we are destitute. That is why we are protesting. We are actually Mugabe sponsored, because I worked for a state enterprise, NRZ, and they didn't pay me for more than 12 months, and they're still owing me money. They motivate me to fight for my money, because they have turned this nation into a nation of slavery and vendors. And we will not allow them to keep on turning us into vendors, because we cannot have a nation of vendors, and they cannot keep on making money at our expense. We let them on for too long, and enough is enough. Right now, they should be packing their bags, shipping out, because we are going to make sure that they're going to be arrested for everything they've done in the past 36 years.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.